So it sold so fast. We had tons of showings, multiple offers.
There's a certain time of year that's best to sell your home. Is there actually, or is it one of those things that was made up and people went with it?
Because when a house has been sitting on the market for a while, if it hasn't sold, it's overpriced or it wasn't marketed right, or it didn't show well. Those are like the three main reasons.
Hello everyone, I'm Nadine and welcome to Design Discussions with Nadine. I have a very special guest today. Finally, we were able to make this happen. I have Heather Shepard, luxury realtor with Douglas Elliman.
Yes.
So it's so nice to talk to you today. I hope that my audience will enjoy talking all things realty.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about making some connections between design and what you should do when you're selling your home, what you shouldn't do. Mm-hmm. And I think you're a great example. You can give great advice for people because you do high-end luxury homes.
Yes.
But I think for anybody, when they're looking to sell their home, there's certain things that you should and shouldn't do.
Right? Exactly.
But I want to get to know you a little bit. So let's talk about how long that you've been a realtor and what made you want to go into realty? I know that's not your background. That's not what you studied. So let's talk a little bit about that first.
Okay, well, I've been full-time in real estate for 4 years now, but I've had my license for, like over 10 years. And I've worked with family and friends. And then I had 3 little kids. And so I was like a mom, but I was a pre-K teacher before that. And so I really just love helping people, helping families. And so I thought, I love talking to people. So I was like, I'm going to, keep my license up. And then when my kids are older, go full time.
When it's your time to do what you want.
Exactly. And I love it. Just finding families, whether it's they have another baby and they need a bigger house or downsizing or moving to Houston or, just everybody's different stages of life. It's more than just a transaction. I'm really helping them go through a lot of emotions too with, buying a new home or selling their home.
Yeah,
and
I know.
It's just rewarding.
It's for me, even as a contractor, it's the same thing. I feel like, when you can transform someone's home to their forever home or whatever it may be, it's very rewarding.
It is. So I love what I do, and it's just, that's how I kind of got into it.
Yeah,
and I'm from Houston, so I have a big network, and I'm familiar with the neighborhoods, and so that helps too.
Yeah. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of it now. So I think people always think about there's a certain time of year that's best to sell your home. Is there actually, or is it one of those things that was made up and people went with it?
I think that's kind of a myth. Well, for the Houston market, we're just seeing things move so fast. It's just no matter what time of year. I had a client, I sold her house in West University over the week of Thanksgiving, and it sold for hundreds of thousands over asking in 48 hours. The week of Thanksgiving, it's the Houston market. It's just the best time to sell your home is whenever it's right for you and your family. There really is. I'm not seeing it a certain time that's best.
And that's good because I said, a lot of people, there's always been that myth that people would say springtime is best or summertime when kids are out of school.
Right.
So it's good to know
that
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. And actually summer, people used to say people are out of town. I don't want to list my house in the summer, but actually families are looking in the summer if they need to switch school districts or, it's a good time to move because your kids aren't in school. So you can get them settled before the school year. And so actually really any time of year is what I've found is a good time.
Well, yeah, and like you said, Thanksgiving, you had one on Thanksgiving, you would think nobody's around looking at houses.
Right.
So that is surprising.
I had 18 showings in 24 hours. It was so wild.
Wow.
But the house, like the home was, staged. It was very like market ready. So we were prepared. And I think that's why it went so fast.
That's good.
But yeah, no, we were like, nobody's going to come. I mean, it was wild.
So what about market trends that you're seeing right now that people as sellers should consider before listing their home?
So really what I'm seeing is buyers want like move-in ready. They want, they don't want to have to go in and paint and do big updates. They really just want, like I'm seeing a lot of my clients paint their houses like white dove, like just kind of a neutral, depersonalize your home. If you're moving out, have it staged, just simple so that the buyers can picture themselves like really living in that home and making it their own.
And the depersonalization, that is a tongue twister.
Yes.
Is a huge one because I have heard that they say don't have family photos out or anything because people want to visualize their family's photos on the wall.
Right. And they also, if you have a lot of things on your walls, like they don't want to feel like, when the sellers move out, they're going to have to patch up the wall and like all of these things. It's better just have it ready and it'll sell faster.
So what would you say then is 3 things that sellers should do to prepare, or the 3 biggest things that they should do to prepare? You mentioned painting.
Well, yes, painting, like depersonalize, like declutter. Make sure the home is really clean. I always say like have it deep cleaned. And the stagers I use, like they'll come in also if a client of mine needs help, like decluttering. Like it tends to happen when kind of maybe an older couple, like their kids have gone to college and they really want to downsize, but they just have so much stuff.
30 years worth of stuff.
And it's like I have 3 kids, so I feel for them. And so we always like to help them if they want our help, go in and like, pack up some stuff or declutter and just make sure the home is really ready to go on the market.
Well, and that's great to have a realtor like you that will help people with those things. Because a lot of people think, well, the realtor is just there to list my house, show my house.
Right.
Or help me look at homes, right? But if you have somebody like you that can go in and actually give them advice on what to do and not to do and help them to declutter, that's a great plus for people.
Thank you. I think so too. And it's nice because they know me and they trust me. And so it's not like a company coming in that, they're not familiar with and just saying like, throw that away. It's because it's hard for a lot of people and, just to like, they want to move, but they're like, this is where we raised our kids. And
I know. Well, when I sold my last house 8 years ago, when my kids were still relatively small, like 2nd and 4th grade. But I had all kinds of baby things and everything, which
artwork, probably.
Which, baby toys and carriers and things that I knew I never was going to use again. But I had to, sift through those things. And then again, you go through, because we were in that house for almost 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So it was like, it's kind of like, what do you take and what do you leave? What do you sell? What do you give away? It's
and
a
as
process.
moms, like we get sentimental about things, I think, and it's definitely a process for sure. But I like to provide like all those services to my clients if they need them.
That's so sweet.
Yes,
I love that.
Definitely. Thank you.
So can you give an example of somebody that you helped prepare? What did you do and what was the outcome of that sale for them?
Okay, well, I had a client and her house was beautiful, but it needed a new roof. And she had 3 air conditioning units. And they were, like, she had them serviced every year. So they were working, but towards the end of their life, really. Oh. And so I recommended, let's replace your roof because it was original to the house. And even though, it was 20 years old, never had a problem. But still, as a buyer, you're going in and you don't want to have to, the first thing, when you buy the house is replace the roof. And, I always recommend inspections to my clients. So you would find out that it needs,
Well, in 20 years is a good amount of time
A
on a
good
roof.
run,
It's almost
yes.
about to come to the end. And buyers would know that for sure.
They would know that. So, we replaced the air conditioning units, we replaced the roof, and had the house painted and decluttered. And then it sold so fast. We had tons of showings, multiple offers, and just doing those things, which are not fun to do. Nobody wants to spend money on roof and AC, but it's just part of owning a house that you really need to do. And then it'll sell faster. It'll be worth it in the end, and your house isn't just going to sit on the market, which you're still paying your mortgage whether you have one or not, or while it sits there.
And then how do you feel that piggybacking on that question or that answer that you just gave, how do you feel then doing those upgrades, the AC and the roof? How do you feel that helps the client sell their home faster as to not sit on the market? And does sitting on the market for a long time actually affect the sale of the house?
Yes.
That's the big question, right?
Yes, because when a house has been sitting on the market for a while, if it hasn't sold, it's overpriced or it wasn't marketed right, or it didn't show well. Those are like the three main reasons. But when it's been sitting, a lot of people will look at it like, what is wrong with this house? Like, why hasn't it sold? And then you look at it and it's overpriced, but then you lower the price and that doesn't look good. It's like, sellers are motivated. Like, nobody wants to buy a house. It's like, it's like desperate. Like, especially in the luxury market. Like, they're buying multi-million-dollar houses, and they want to feel like they're buying into like the luxury lifestyle. They don't want to buy the house in the neighborhood that's been like lowered and lowered and lowered. That.
Yeah, and I would assume that people would look and be like, like you said, oh, what's wrong with this
What's
house?
wrong with it? And so it's always important to price it right. Like, look at comps, but also like look at the house and just make sure it is market ready. Like, if you walked in, would you say like, oh gosh, like, there's paint peeling, or like, I always say the light bulbs need to match, like all the different, like either like soft white or bright white, whatever you choose to do, like, because it really reflects on the homeowner and like what care they've taken of the house. Like, like I paint the front door. That's a big thing. Like, put a new doormat, just little things like that. Just kind of refresh it so that when somebody walks up, they feel like, this home has been taken care of. Appliances are like another thing that you could, if they need to be replaced, by replacing appliances, like it really updates like the kitchen, whether you want to spend like $5,000 to like $50,000, that's another good way to update your kitchen.
And you mentioned even just changing the hardware on the cabinets.
Oh, yes. I had a client do that. We painted her kitchen cabinets, changed the hardware. It looked like a new kitchen. Like, I mean, Amazon, like you said, or Home Depot, like you can find like little, just knobs that are simple and nice, and it changes the whole feel.
I had a client that wanted to sell her home, and I was going to ask you if you've ever had this happen. That wanted to sell her home. She wanted to do some updates to sell it, and then she ended up loving it so much she didn't sell it.
Oh my gosh, yes!
I changed my mind.
I had a client that happened too. She had an organizer come in and reorganized her whole house for it to be market ready, and then she was like, I don't want to move. Now I can like live here. And now it's like it's
a different feel.
New kitchen, organization, like everything. She was like, this is like what I wanted to buy somewhere else.
That is so funny.
But
I find it funny when that happens.
Isn't that? I know.
But it's great for them too, because then they fell in love with their home all over again, and they don't have to think about it, right? It wasn't the home that you didn't like. It was whether it be
The
colors
systems,
or the systems or
right.
the functionality, and if that was
Right.
corrected, bam, that's
I
good.
know. And I always tell like longtime clients of mine who, if they're debating like they're saying in a few years, I'm going to sell when my kids go to college or whatever the reason, like, but these bathrooms need to be updated. Should I wait a few years and update them, or should I update them with something maybe neutral and enjoy it and then sell it? And so I always say, if you can, like, why not update it and enjoy it?
Yeah,
And then
I agree with that.
if you want to sell it like in a year or 3 years, like, it's ready. You don't have to spend like months, through construction.
And enjoy it a little bit. And even if they're 3, 4, 5 years, good chances are whatever they picked is still going to be in fashion.
Right.
It's not going to go out of date that fast.
Exactly.
If they're saying we're not going to move 10 years down the road, then that might be, they may have to redo it again. But a few years isn't going to make that much of a difference.
No.
Now, do you think it's worth it for people to do like major improvements? Like if somebody comes and they say they have the budget to do, a kitchen or a bathroom. I know those were the 2 areas that you mentioned earlier that are the most important, right? That people look at.
Yes.
Do you think it's beneficial for people to do a full renovation if they can,
if
or
they
are
can.
smaller updates easier? Because I've heard that they also say, well, I've heard from people in the past that sometimes, if you pick countertops and tiles and things like that the new homeowner might not like, and then. So what is your opinion on that? Like, if the budget allows it, should they do a full renovation?
I think so. If they have the budget, I would do it. But don't pick something like that, is just crazy. Like
some crazy
like
marble.
rare like rare imported marble or something like that. Like, just simple and pretty. Like, just, that's what I would recommend, if you have the budget, because kitchen and bathrooms are the main thing. Like, you will get the return on investment for those 2 are definitely, like, you'll get your money back, if not more, when you go to sell.
And that comes back to the move-in ready thing you mentioned earlier.
Yes, move-in ready for sure.
Moving in general for people is very hard.
Yes.
Whether they're moving out or moving in. So I would imagine that, if they can find a home that they love the kitchen and bathroom, then they don't have to think about, I'm going to move in here, but now I also have to redo.
Exactly. And everybody's lives, like, I feel like, are so busy these days that it's just nice, even if they don't love like white walls, at least they can like move in and like in a year or whatever, like, make it more personal. But it's just nice to be able to like get in.
It's nice and fresh for the time being.
Right.
No,
that's what I've found really is helpful. And so, if you have the budget, then
do it.
Yeah, because, we will, like, my clients, like, if they're buying a house that needs the kitchen and the bathrooms updated, but the price doesn't reflect that. Like, if they're like 25 years old and they're fine, but they're not updated. Like, when we go to make an offer, usually we'll take that like into consideration and maybe not offer full price, because my clients will want to spend like, a few $100,000 like to update those. So
lots to consider
for sure. Definitely. And it's like case by case. Like, it depends on like the house. It depends on the neighborhood. Like, in a historic neighborhood like the Heights, like, there are certain things you can do and can't do versus like, like Westview or Memorial. Like, if you want to change out the windows in a house, like, but in the the historic Heights and everything.
And sometimes in that area, you might not want to really do a lot.
No,
maybe
it's
some
the whole
paint.
feel
It has that vibe and feel, like you said, of that particular type of home. So, I mean, for me, I wouldn't want to do much in most situations there.
No, just the windows, like the more energy efficient windows, I think is something that one of my clients wanted to change out his windows, and he didn't get approved for it. But because they're very strict about modifications you can really do there. So I know, but it's okay. I mean,
got to work
around it. So
what advantages what advantages does a seller gain working with a realtor like yourself that understands all of this and being able to get the most out of their home as opposed to just, selling it as is?
Uh-huh. Okay, well, I really feel like from all of my experience, like a professional like me coming in and looking at the home, like advising them on what I think from my experience, like, whatever the home needs, like I think that really gives them an advantage because selling it as is, like it's probably going to sit on the market. Like even replacing carpet, that's like a big thing too. Like if you have it in your budget, like just something inexpensive and neutral, because people don't want to go into a bedroom that has like, old carpet. And that's such an easy, like relatively inexpensive thing to do. So with working with a realtor, your home's going to be priced right. It's going to be market ready, and it'll in the end sell faster because it's not just thrown on the market.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I work with a lot of clients that buy homes and then we're going in to renovate them before they move in. And there is a couple, it's funny you mentioned the carpet. There's a couple of areas or a couple of things within the home that people are always like, no, I have to replace that.
Right.
I have to replace that. And the two top ones are number one, carpet. Number two, toilets.
Yes.
Those are the two things that people are like, I don't even want to look at it, get rid of it. I guess it gives people the ick factor. Both things.
Both of those, yes. And washing machines too. I've had some clients go in and want to change even dryers, mostly the washing machines, especially if the sellers have had like dogs and, it just kind of grosses some people out. Like,
I guess I didn't. I guess I wouldn't. I didn't think about washing machines, but that could be kind of true too.
Yeah, dishwasher is not really. I really haven't had anybody changing those out, but the washing machines, like that's something.
Yeah, don't want anything lingering.
No, a fresh start in their new home.
Yeah.
Power washing too. That's another thing that helps. Yeah. Power washing the brick, power washing the front walkway, new doormats, fresh coat of paint on the front door.
Paint. That's the thing.
I know, paint will do so much.
It
does wonders. Really does. Like, it's incredible what a fresh coat of paint will do.
Oh, absolutely.
So
what would you say are the big mistakes that sellers make before listing their home, especially like we were talking earlier about like the for sale by owner types?
Oh, yes. Usually for sale by owner, they are trying to save money and they're trying to get more than their home is worth. Because when they're not using a realtor, they think it's actually going to, they're like, we don't have to pay a commission. Like we're going to do this ourselves. And if they're in a hurry to sell, that's probably, they're not, unless it's case by case, but the majority, because I've worked with some for sale by owners that have tried selling it on their own, and then they've come to me and said, can you help us, please? Because it's just sitting there. And, it's not on MLS, like on HAR, which, they really don't know how to market it.
Huge.
They don't know how to have professional photography, taken. I always have my photographer come in and do like a video, for marketing on Instagram and on social media, LinkedIn, all of that. So it's not marketed right. It's usually priced too high. And, they really don't have a way to get it out there to all of the realtors and, who will then share it with their clients. And so... so it ends up sitting, and they could have just paid had a realtor come in and then sold it and paid a little commission,
and then they end up losing more in the end because the time that was lost, when in the end they have to go back and use a realtor anyways, a lot of the times.
Exactly.
So use a realtor first.
Yes, and Bel Air, exactly. Like there are a bunch of, houses there that they're for sale by owner, and they just sit there.
Especially luxury market. Like that surprises me that somebody would try to sell a luxury home for sale by owner. That's kind of surprising.
It is surprising. It is.
Because you would think it would be more, different types of homes that people would do that, or regular, smaller homes. So that's surprising. But.
I know. But, in the end, it's always beneficial to use a realtor to help you do it right the first time.
It's just like with anything.
With anything, right.
Use the professionals.
Right. And then it'll go smoothly, and then you'll be able to move on. You're not going to have this home sitting there.
Yeah.
So paying 2 mortgages sometimes, or, with people who have already bought a new house. Yeah. And so it's always good to use a realtor.
What are the most frequently asked questions that you get from your clients on whether they're purchasing or selling? I think that's a great question for you to answer.
Okay,
what are the frequently asked questions that people want to know?
One question is, should we wait for mortgage rates to drop? That is a question I get all the time. I'm not a lender. I refer them to my friend Portland, who I work with all of my lending. But really, buy or sell when the time is right for you and your family. Like, look at the numbers, see what you're pre-approved for, or if you're buying cash, you're paying cash. Like, I have clients that do that, and then that doesn't matter. But just look at the numbers, because when the rates, if they drop, the home prices are going to skyrocket. You're going to have multiple offers, and we're already seeing multiple offers on homes in Westview and River Oaks and Memorial, and people are already overpaying for these like prime locations. So when the rates drop, you're going to end up paying even more for the home.
And then if you're buying a home, you're going to pay more for that one too. So really, it probably almost equals out in the end.
Exactly. So just buy when or sell when the time is right for you and your family. Just look at the numbers, see what works best for you. And I mean, with the Houston market, that's my recommendation, but I get that question a lot. Like, when do you think interest rates are going to drop? Do you think they're going to drop? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, if you can afford to move and the time is right, then, don't wait.
Yeah.
Because there's already a shortage of homes in a lot of the areas that my clients are looking in, like the Memorial Villages. Like, they're going for over asking, multiple offers.
So nobody's selling.
Because people aren't selling. And then when they do, everybody's like jumping on it.
Yeah, I mean, those are desirable areas in Houston.
And great school districts, for lower, middle, and high school, which is, in Houston, like, it's rare to find that. Like, there are good elementary schools, and then like the middle schools, not so much in some areas, but in Memorial, it's like the whole way are excellent. So that's another reason why it's so desirable. That's really a question I get a lot.
What else? What other good questions
Another question I get, should we move out before, like you said, before we list our home? And I really feel like, it's okay if you move out, but wait until we have let's declutter, depersonalize, have the professional photographer come in, and then you can start moving things out. And I always recommend staging, or at least having them come in and maybe like reconfigure some things and just make it look like market ready.
That makes sense. And I've heard that before too. Like I said, people like not the cluttered, but they like the homey feel.
Yes.
Right? Or at least when they see the photos online, they see that, it's so nice and, cozy looking or whatever, beautiful. So it's an attraction to, let me go look at that home. And then once they step in, if there is furnishings and, staging, it makes them feel a certain way.
Definitely. Like, my client put an offer on a house in Memorial yesterday, and the stagers for the home did the most amazing job. They even had this like really nice like yoga room. Like, there was a little nook off of the primary suite that was just empty. And then they put the simplest things, like 2 yoga mats and 2 blocks. And it has a big window. And it was just so nice to see that use of space. It wasn't just an empty room. So the buyer could picture themselves like, whether they use it for yoga or not, it's just not wasted space.
Here's another random question for you.
I
just thought of that I've also heard a lot of people are like, oh, bake cookies before a showing, or stuff like that. And then I've heard there's another scent that people like even more than a baked cookie smell. What is your opinion on that? This might be a silly question, but I feel like I've heard that people say, I mean, for years they would say, oh, the baked smell, and then somebody told me once, they said actually the smell of lemons people like because it's fresh.
Lemons and like a boil, like cut up lemons or something.
It gives the house a fresh smell. I'm like, you hear so many things.
Well, okay, so I've heard that, but then on the other hand, like buyers walk in and they're like, well, why did they, like, are they trying to hide a smell?
Oh, see, that makes sense too.
When a house has a lot of candles that are lit or, it's just like, what are they trying to hide?
And see, that's something I wouldn't have thought about that, but that's true. Let it be the neutral,
right?
Fresh
Just like
smell
clean,
of
like have it deep clean before you start showings for sure.
Yeah, so no cookies.
But I mean, yeah, if you could, but like that's another way. Like I've had clients, we've walked in and there's like plugins everywhere and candles, and it's like, what are they? What are they trying to hide?
Yeah.
Is there like a mildew smell or like? So I mean, it has its pros and cons. Like, but yeah, I've heard that too. Like,
so that was just a random fun question that just came to me.
But make sure, I mean, it smells good. Like you want to have
fresh
it
and
like
clean.
Fresh and clean. And some people are allergic to really strong scents too. And so when they walk in, like if it smells like Michael's or something, like Hobby Lobby or something like that.
Yeah. You don't want to turn off people that way.
Right.
That's going to have the complete opposite effect of what
you
want.
Exactly. Yeah. So it has its pros and cons, but I mean, it's nice to have like waters and like snacks or know things like that if you're having an open house. But yeah, that's a good question.
And like I said, it just came to me because I was like, let me ask the professional if this is true.
It's a good question for sure.
Well, this was so fun. I'm glad that we finally were able to arrange a date for you to come talk with me.
Thank you for having me.
I hope that my viewers found this informative. Hopefully we can do it again next time and we can talk more about realty things.
Thank you.
Until then, stay tuned for the next one.